All right. The meeting for the Protection and Welfare Committee, Monday, July 10th, 2017, City Hall Room 207. It's 5 p.m. We're going to get rocking and rolling. The chair, Alder Scannell, is present. The vice chair, Alder Dorf, is present. And Alder Galvin is present. Alder Zima has not checked in yet. I imagine he'll be coming along shortly. I didn't hear from him before, so I don't think there's any trouble. He's just running a little late for some reason. So I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Alder Galvin, seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for June 12th, 2017 meeting.
Second.
Moved by Alder Galvin, seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that passes. Right on to the meat of the hour, okay? Item number 4, consideration with possible action on a notice of change of agent for Quick Trip at 840 South Huron Road. Staff?
No objection.
Second.
Motion by Alder Galvin to approve, seconded by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Oh, before I go any further though, I should say, what we do here at committee is just a recommendation to the council that meets next Tuesday?
Yep.
Next Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the room right next door here. The council has the final say. We just vet the issue and make a recommendation to the council. And so whatever we do here isn't final until Tuesday. Item number 5, consideration with possible action on a request by Gather on Broadway at 139 North Broadway Street to amend their liquor license to include outdoor seating serving in the city right-of-way, contingent upon the approval of the proper authorities.
So I guess this is, it's been approved by INS at some point. They had to hold harmless so they could put tables and chairs in that area. But at this point, they just need to get what's called a revocable occupancy permit. And once that gets amended, the Public Works Department will approve it. So now it's up to this committee to determine whether or not you want alcohol to be sold in that area. And we have no objections.
We've had no calls there, and we have no objections either.
But do you gather that?
I would move to approve.
Motion by Alder Dorf to approve, seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Item number 6, consideration of possible action on a request for a Class B beer and a Class C wine license by Suo Yu LLC at 313 North Broadway. Staff,
No objections.
We have no objections either.
you concur?
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Dorf to approve. Seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yeah, that carries. Unanimously. Item number 7, consideration with possible action on a request for a Class B combination license by Hillman LLC at 100 South Broadway, currently Jessica Rowe LLC. Staff.
No objections.
We have no objections.
No, move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Dorf to approve, seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Item number 8, consideration of possible action on an appeal by Mary Jo Loma to the denial of her operator license application. Staff?
I recommend denial. And there was a note from the other assistant city attorney that it appeared that there was a failure to disclose some of the
Right.
past criminal history.
Yep.
So that's another.
Yep.
Yeah, we deny it also, or suggest they deny it.
Okay. Do we know, have any timeline on when this felony will be resolved? Alleged felony?
Let's see what I do have. Hold on a second. Well, I don't know about resolve, but they do have an arraignment on July 24th. And that's just the start of the whole process, so
Process,
it could
right.
be quite a while.
Right. Are we allowed to take into consideration pending?
What you're able to look at is a habitual law offender, and that does take into consideration pending charges, but They're all OWI, so they're all related.
Oh, right.
If you look at 2011, that's
Yeah.
kind of recent now. That's within your discretion.
Should we open the floor?
Is Mary Jo here?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Move to open the floor.
Motion by Alderdorf to open the floor, seconded by Alder Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the floor is now open. If you come up, but please state your name and address.
Mary Jo Loma, 100 West Walnut Street, Green Bay.
Okay, is there anything, any statement you'd like to make to begin with, or?
About the disclosure on the form, when I renewed, it asked if you've been convicted of a felony, which I haven't, so I checked no. That's the only statement that it asks. It doesn't ask for any prior, I thought, since I hadn't been convicted
Convicted of a felony?
check no, yes.
Mhm.
I thought the application said felony or misdemeanor. Well, so it says, have you been convicted of any felony, misdemeanor, or ordinance violation? other
Okay,
than mileage?
I guess I assume that was since since my last renewal, which the answer would have been no.
And that's our explanation. so.
Okay,
That's a
yep,
good
that's good, yep,
explanation.
okay, yeah. So since your last renewal, and that was, your last renewal would have been
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Question?
Well, tell us a little bit more about why this OWI is coming on, this fourth one.
Yes, I hadn't driven in 6 years while I was drinking. I had taken a cab and was out one night and just made a terrible decision. And, yeah, got a fourth offense. It had nothing to do with my job, if that's an issue. I wasn't working at the time. I wasn't there at the time.
Where do you work,
I'm at Locks Bar on State Street.
and how long have you been there?
Well, we just recently opened in the end of September of last year. I was in the building for 6 years, 6.5 years, under Cool Hand Luke's at that.
Okay, so you worked as a bartender. You worked as a bartender for how many years?
37 years.
37 years.
37 years between Wisconsin Rapids and here. I have no strikes on my license, no violations on my bartender's license. I've been licensed for over 30 years.
We're on item number 8.
Have you ever drank while working?
Not usually, it's very
Oh,
rare.
It's a yes or no answer.
Then no. I would say.
Never had alcohol?
Yes, I
Oh.
have. Sorry. Yes, it's not a normal thing.
Have you ever had any kind of treatment or anything for drinking?
No.
No.
I'm looking into that at this time. But no, not as of right now.
Because this directly relates to the job you're involved in.
Again, I don't normally drink when I'm working. I was out that evening. I had been there. I had worked until 8 p.m. This occurred at almost midnight. I hadn't been there from 8 p.m. And hadn't drank while I was working. As it stands right now, I am equipped with a SCRAM device where it's an alcohol monitor, so I'm not able to drink, and with this conviction pending, I won't be even able to consider that for quite some time. Because that, right now, the DA has proposed a year in jail with Huber and then 3 years probation, so.
Is this a full-time job for you?
Well, yes, it's Monday through Friday. It's not 40 hours a week, but
Is this how you live?
yes, that is my livelihood.
And if you get convicted and you're sentenced for a year?
That's what the DA is offering right
What do you
now.
offer you, Huber?
Yes, provided I have a job. If I don't have a license, I won't have a job.
So do you think you could get a letter from your employer?
He's here right now.
Oh,
If you'd like to speak.
could he come forward?
Please state your name and address.
Chad Locke, 1315 Oregon Street, Green Bay.
I take it you have some good words to say about your employee?
Yeah, she's a great employee. She's very, very responsible. She manages the bar for us. I don't really ever see her drink behind the bar. If she does, like she was saying, I don't see it because I'm not there much. I work full-time. My wife works full-time. She runs it for us. Since this has been since this has happened to her, I know she has turned in her driver's license, she has sold her car, all the stuff, she's all done with that, living only a mile away as well. I mean, it would be, I know it's really not my problem, but it'd be a big hindrance on my wife and myself in the business if she wasn't able to have her license. That would really hurt us as well. And she, I mean, she is a great employee. She's very, very responsible, and this was just, I don't know how she made this decision. I have lists behind the bar of all the cabs and the numbers in her handwriting. And she actually yells at everybody if they're, you know, if they're gonna go and drive, take a cab, here's a safe ride, we offer the safe ride. She's very good about passing those out too. And why she made this decision, I don't know, but I don't see her ever making it again. It's just not in her nature.
And she's worked for you for how long?
Since we've opened, about 10 months, I've known her from beforehand. My family has owned the building and all that stuff, so I mean, we know a lot of the regulars and the employees over the years, and I've known her for quite a while. That's why we kept her on when we opened.
So you don't even have a car anymore?
No, we don't.
Okay.
And how long is that bracelet on?
Until sentencing. Never, whenever that is. And it's been on since I wasn't able to even get out of jail without it,
There's been no
so.
violation since then.
No, they just, they monitor me, it has to be, it's all wirelessly done at home. No infractions that I'm aware of. They're having an issue with it right now that I have to go and see them tomorrow out at Lock and Load and just have it looked at. They, on the phone today, they were convinced that it isn't anything I'm doing, it's some sort of glitch, so it has to be addressed and looked at.
Do you know, is the district attorney, is he looking at reducing the charge from a felony?
That I don't know. My lawyer hasn't. We were waiting for the pre-sentencing investigation to be completed before he and I met to discuss. This was the initial offer that was put out by the DA, and I didn't even mention anything about a felony on that.
Okay.
On that initial offer, but again, it was just that, an initial offer. That's their high. Once the pre-sentencing investigation goes, it could hopefully go lower than that.
Okay, because the reason you're here is the state statute states that anyone with a felony, as it relates to the job, we have no choice, we cannot
Okay.
issue. And that's why they automatically kick you out, and now
Sure.
it's up for us to decide, does it relate, is this, and, if, we can.
Okay.
But that's, so if you can, I would strongly urge your attorney to try and,
Oh,
because in the future, if it does end up being a felony and you come for another license and say, we do grant you this one, it'll pop up again.
Okay, yeah, I assure you, he's working on that, but
Okay.
nobody wants that. Even though without a conviction at this point, it's still,
Well, it's
because it's
pending,
pending?
it's a pending felony, so that might be a little wiggle room for
okay,
us.
yeah.
But if it actually becomes a felony,
What would happen?
your next, well, she'd still have her license, it wouldn't matter, but when she comes up again in two
In 2 years.
2 years,
To renew.
it would be kicked up again that she has a felony, and then that would be very problematical
Mhm,
for your future,
right,
so.
yeah.
Any other questions? Anything else you care to add?
I think that's everything.
Okay,
Move to,
thank you.
move to return to regular order.
I just had one question.
Oh, sorry, what?
Maybe it was said before, excuse me because I came a few minutes late. How do you get to and from work then?
I either walk, or if the weather's bad, I use the Lyft service. It's like an Uber kind of thing, because I'm
You live fairly close
1.2
to-
miles
You
away.
live fairly close to your...
Yes, sir, I'm 1.2 miles. I'm on the corner of Broadway, or Walnut and Museum Place downtown, and I live on I work on State Street, so.
So
I've
it's in
had,
walking distance?
oh, certainly, yes.
Anything else?
Move to return to regular order.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion by Alder to return, second by Alder Galvin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're back amongst ourselves. Discussion? Well-
I tend to want to give her a chance. I guess certainly not something that's a good thing for her to have done. But it is pending right now, so I think we do have a little wiggle room right now, and it is her only source of livelihood, and her employer's here and speaks highly of her. She doesn't have a car. She gave that up. She lives within walking distance to work. I would not want her not having a job at all. So I would tend to probably approve.
Yeah, I'm leaning that same way. I think her explanation for why she checked off the box for not, for their disclosure makes sense to me. Whether it was the right thing to do or not, but it makes sense. And she's been doing this a long time. She's been doing this she knows her job. She's been very conscientious, a good at her job, it certainly sounds like. And I think she'd be better off working than not working. And because it is pending, I think we do have the wiggle room. I see it as a ray of hope at the moment. And for all the reasons you mentioned before, I think I would vote for, to approve her liquor license. Yes?
We've talked about this, I guess, before, but I don't know, Green Bay has been peculiar about this business of a felony disqualifying forever to do things. And I know other communities, we had situations where people had licenses from other communities, but not our community, and that we take a peculiar look at that. I don't think that should be standard for us to make a decision. So whether we think she can do the job, it's her boss has confidence in her. She has a lot of experience. I guess she should know enough to try to help her. Probably the situation she is probably makes her a good bartender because she's going to help the people that she's serving. If she thinks they shouldn't be driving, and she'll probably discourage it because she knows the price they have to pay to it. And I don't think that record, even though she's had some problems with OWI, we don't see other types of convictions. So I fully intend to support the appeal.
Anything you care to add, or should we?
I mean, it's concerning. You look at the length of time that, over the period of time that she's been arrested, I think she definitely has some issues with substance abuse, and for her own personal health, she should probably look into that, but that's neither here nor there. As to whether she can adequately do the job, her boss certainly says that she can. She's on a monitor. If she imbibes any alcohol while she's working, they're going to be alerted, and she's going to get picked up and locked up. So I mean, she's got that. So it is her only source of income, and life it's going to be hard for her going forward, and it'd be so much harder if she lost her job now. So I also would make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Galvin, second by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Like I said, it's the council has the final say next Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Thank you, members of the committee.
Consideration, number 9, consideration with possible action on an application for an adult entertainment license by GB Entertainment LLC at 1100 Main Street, currently Oval Office LLC, previously discussed at the June 12th Protection and Welfare meeting. Staff, anything further?
Questions?
We have no objections either. We talked to the 3 counties and we got their prior calls, and I think Brad Florence went through some stuff with you last time.
Yep.
So we don't have any concerns whatsoever.
So these calls, like, I mean, it looks like a lot of pages, but,
Yeah,
but explain
here's the
that.
problem. We just got them recently, and I talked to Florence, who actually got them. He's been on vacation. So I quick looked at them before I came over here, and I called the club, the Sapphire Club, to find out actually when they took ownership of the business, because that one, if you look at this one here, I don't know, it doesn't have it listed on what it is, but it's the only one that looks like this.
Yeah.
They took ownership of May of 2016. And if you look at May of
Yeah, we're going back
2016, what's that?
Yeah, we're going back pretty far here.
Yeah, because the people that owned it beforehand that's why they went back that far, because they owned it since '07.
Yeah.
Then they sold it to these people. And I think if you look at
That's
Florence's
little.
thing on that, it says that they haven't had any problems since the new ownership, and they've actually had better cooperation and less calls. So, and you can see that they had 23 calls since 2016, but it shows 7195 Highway 114. Well, I called the place and they said that their address is 7191. I wasn't able to get a chance to call the department to find out why they gave us 7195 and 7191, but I'm guessing because they're in the same parking lot, that sometimes people might call out. I don't know if you call with a traffic stop or something, they might not say I'm at Sapphire. Or they'll say Sapphire, or they'll say the tattoo shop or something like that. And one of these places is a tattoo shop, so some of these might be attributed to them. So, but going on what the lieutenant said, or I think it was a lieutenant or captain, but anyway, the places that we called basically said that they've been very good cooperating with the police department. The only place that actually brought up something was Heartbreakers in West Allis. And it just said that if you do approve it, have a strict requirement about having them know their video system inside and out so that we can get video from them, because they had said that a couple times, they said they didn't know how to work it. But other than that, we had no problems or found with them, so.
Thank you.
I have some questions, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly.
Yeah, I know when I read what the officer was just talking to us about, he said the lieutenant staff states that this is an ongoing theme with Heartbreakers, that no one knows how to work the video system, or there's always a delay in obtaining the video. Lieutenant Stafford says that if this group was able to come to Green Bay, that strict requirements be placed on the establishment to resolve the video issue. But I guess I would ask the department, do we have an active vice squad in the city of Green Bay?
As far as like looking into issues like this, no, we don't have a squad, but we do have like community officers and stuff that take on problem places and look into them.
I know a year ago or so, don't hold me to the dates exactly or anything, but I just remember that there was a massage parlor that I think arrest was made for, illicit sex, et cetera, whatever it was at that time. And I was just wondering, it just seems to me that we really haven't been very aggressive at all about our vice department, and you've kind of confirmed that to me. And of course, that concerns me too. Is it just that see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil? And most people know what's associated with these type of operations. And, I'm concerned also, and I'm just going to bring up a variety of things here with the committee. But the second floor, which is, you come into the city, there's a big billboard that says, have you gotten the presidential treatment? The Oval Office, and of course it seems that the upstairs, from what I understand, I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but that this is an area where, the presidential room or the presidential treatment occurs. And I had heard that it was like $400. And why I bring this up, and again, I can be corrected about any of this information, but it comes to me over the years. And I personally was in this facility before the current owners had it, because there were accusations about prostitution of Mr. Miskovich, I believe is the man who owned it, who's now since passed, and his wife ran it after that. But he was very upset about anybody making accusations to him about that. And he made a point, he insisted that I come over and look at his place. It was during the day, and I went into the upstairs, and the upstairs was a big dustbin. He says, "You think anything goes on in this place here?" And it was just kind of a storage area, and not particularly well kept or anything. And of course, when this place was took over by the current owners, you know, under our, let's see, what's the terminology, help me out?
Was it business plan,
No, not the business plan,
memorandum of understanding?
the non-conforming use.
Yep.
Says that you can't expand or do anything more than repair what's there. And of course, I know from my personal experience there that the upstairs was never anything but a storage area. And now it's been developed into evidently a active part of the business. And I don't know that the facility itself, under its current owners, are really operating it properly. Because it was always just the first floor, which anybody and anybody could make observations, whether you're another patron or police officer or anybody else that might walk in the place. But the place was essentially gutted and rebuilt. I think probably in violation of our conforming use policies, and especially the upstairs. And that becomes an area of suspicion as far as I'm concerned. I did, you know, the attorney that was here at our last city council meeting, I just did a little review of the internet for him, and of course, that gentleman represents a lot of these types of facilities and defends a lot of people who've done a lot of pretty bad things. So, I think before we license this to someone else, we ought to look back into the record. And we should only license that part of the building, which was originally a strip club, not the whole building. It was really kind of a scam that the whole building was essentially rebuilt, and the upstairs has become, I guess I'd like to hear something about it. The other thing is, you know, who are the other owners? We say there's a couple from Illinois and another one from somewhere else in the state. Who are they? What are their records? This Green Bay Entertainment LLC, when I looked that up, it was only in March of this year that it was formed. And there's only one person listed. Now we're told there's partners. Who are the partners? What are their names? What are their addresses? What's their history? And I think there is a strong presence in our community of vice. It's just confirmed by us here. And you look online also, I was very surprised to see that Wisconsin is a well-known sex slave state. And I think we have to pay more attention to those. I know at our county meeting, we had a lot of people at our annual meeting a year ago who were talking about the abuse of mainly women. And it all goes along with this trade. And I think we need to make a thorough examination of what was the facility before and what is it now, and maybe part of that facility should be outlawed. It's not conforming. Plus, I think we need to look a little more deeply into who all the other owners are and what is their backgrounds. Usually when you just find one name and nothing else, my experience is that those are kind of shills sometimes. They got a perfectly clean record, but they're running what's known as a not-so-clean business. So I think it's our opportunity now that there's people want to change hands, that we look more deeply into this at this point in time. I think we've neglected it for whatever reason. And I think our advice is really all but non-existent. So how do we protect ourselves, our community, against these type of operations? It's not the first sign you want to see when you come into the city. And when you did the business plan, did they tell you anything about their special treatment rooms, and what is that special treatment? And what is the cost of that special treatment? And what exactly happens?
Would you like me to answer that question? In the business plan, it talks about the second floor specifically. It talks about enlargement. How that the use of the second floor of the building shall be limited to storage, business offices, video surveillance and security monitoring, employee independent contractor dressing rooms, locker space, and lounging area. And so they made repairs to it, and I don't know if they're using it for what they're using it for, but it was made to just for repairs and, excuse me, video surveillance of the second floor. That's why I think they renovated it.
What has anybody inspected to see what type of facility it is up there, or is this just what's reported to you?
I do not know.
Well, only tell us about things you really know about. If you don't know about them, we want you to find out about it.
When it was originally licensed, the police department inspected it before they signed off on it and gave their approval to Protection and Welfare. The Protection and Welfare Committee at that time approved it, and then the city council approved it. And I don't know if you were on the council back then at that time, so.
I'm sure it was.
Well, and I don't know what you remember from this going forward, or what the ins and outs of it were back then, but I was on the police department then. I was in charge of the inspection of the facility and drawing up the part of the business plan there.
Well, what is the upstairs? Is it just a locker room?
At that time, it was, when we inspected it for approval, that's exactly what was listed in the business plan there.
Would you repeat that again, what it says?
Sure. And this is a covenant that runs with the property, so it will run with the new owners. It says that the use of the second floor of the building shall be limited to storage, business offices, video surveillance and security monitoring, and employee independent contractors' dressing rooms, locker space, and lounging area, and restroom facilities.
So, and where is the special room there?
It does not say
That's
anything
reported
about
to be
that.
$400.
Well, at that time, those rooms were all on the first floor.
And they are rooms that are hidden from other patrons' views?
I would have to say not totally hidden, but at that time, you had some sense of privacy in there, but I don't believe it was completely blocked out or locked out from the view of other patrons or staff.
When's the last time you were through it?
Like I said, when we were approving the business plan at that time.
So, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, or 3 years ago? or-
No, it's at least 6, 7 years ago.
Well, I think we should have a good inspection report about what the second floor is. Because it was strictly just storage at that time. In fact, it was not very well kept. And I think we need to know who all the partners are. And we need to know what their background checks are.
Did we get that report already?
Which one?
The background checks on the manager and on the owners?
I believe we did, and I think that all came back clear as far as I know. Florence was doing all the work on this. He told me everything was good, so I'm guessing that did come back, but I can ask him.
And that's how I remember from the meeting.
Yeah.
And city council was
Yeah.
at the background check.
I would think that it would have, otherwise Florence would have told me, hey, this is not good, and would have flagged it.
And aren't we limited somewhat by law, Joe, on how far we can go digging?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you have First Amendment issues, Fourth Amendment issues, 14th Amendment issues. There's a lot, and what the city has done is we have created an ordinance that does regulate it, and we have to approve or deny the permit based on our ordinance. And based on our ordinance, if they pass a criminal background check, and they have entered into this business plan agreement with the city, there's really no reason to deny them.
Well, Mr. Falk, who are the owners? Who are all the owners? Do you have the names of all the owners?
I do not know.
Does the police department have the name of all the owners?
No, you'd have to ask them to give it to us.
Why don't you have them? How could you investigate them if you don't know who they are?
It was in the application, all the.
All the owners are in the application.
Whatever they gave us on the application was there. I mean,
Whatever
are
they
we
gave.
supposed to not believe them?
Well, it would be nice to know if there are other owners. Maybe we'll just ask them directly. And then I'll ask you if you've investigated those names. So,
Anything else? Should we open the floor?
from what I know, all the owners have not been disclosed, but I would stand to be corrected if. But I would expect our department would be on top of this very firmly. So when they give the names, you should know whether they've been investigated or not, and if they're in our report.
Motion open the floor.
Second.
Motion by Alder Dorf to open the floor, second by Alder Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The floor is now open. Please state your name and address.
Jennifer DeCaster, 5696 School Drive, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Couple of things. First of all, Mr. Zima, the owner's attorney did reach out to you after the last P&W meeting and tried setting up a meeting with you and the owners so that you could meet them and feel comfortable with them, but we didn't get a response. And so,
Well, I was out of the country for 12 days.
I apologize.
So
I apologize that the timing wasn't correct, but we did have the two owners wanting to sit down and meet with you and discuss to make you comfortable. I would gladly, if
there are
you'd
only
like.
two owners?
Yes. I would
There's no
glad,
partners?
as I said, we have one of the owners here. The other owner is in India right now, traveling, visiting family. What I can tell you is if you have any concerns about how we currently run the club, I would love to meet with you. We can sit down and discuss your concerns because any sort of conversation that you have suggested is absolutely upsetting to me because we work hand in hand with the police department. I just gave them additional video for something that happened on the street. We constantly work with the police department and this city. So if you have concerns, please come and see me. We run that club explicitly to the terms of the MOU and our business plan. We have signs specifically that say that you are not allowed upstairs. So you're welcome to see the dressing room, you're welcome to see our office, you're welcome to see the videos, whatever you'd like to see. We would absolutely be more than happy to bring each and every city council member through that facility to see what it is we do. Now, we did reach out. You had every opportunity. We were more than willing to have you meet the owners. The owners have run other clubs very well. The police department has specifically said they have no issues. Your ordinance is clear. Our closing was supposed to happen on the 17th. It is now going to not happen on the 17th because of your city council meeting. I have already done my best to put out fires with accusations that have already been made against this city based on why this was denied. So I am asking you please to understand that my general manager who handles video footage is staying on and running that club. Their overall general manager who handles others is here. He has been here twice now. He was here at city council. He is more than willing for you to question his abilities to run a facility, but he's done it incredibly well, which is why we've agreed to sell to these people. I would ask that you pass this today. I would ask that we show new businessmen who are interested in coming into our community a little bit of respect and understanding when they pass their background checks. If you are alluding to the fact that they lied on their application, then that is an accusation that should not be made, and it will be taken very seriously. So I understand people don't like this industry. how I've run it, what I'm doing there is irrelevant to the motion or to what is on your desk today. It is whether or not, based on your ordinance, they are capable or qualified to have this license. Please don't push this off again. Please understand that we have taken every opportunity to make ourselves available for questions. And please take me seriously. I would love to meet with you there and show you that there is absolutely nothing improper going on there. And our slogan for 9 years has been the presidential treatment because of the word Oval Office. And the rooms on the first floor actually have beads. They are not private. The whole thing can open into one, but there are beads, and I can see right in that room. And yes, there is a fee. The fee is $300. And I would love more than anything to introduce you to the facility and let you see its upkeep.
What is so special about these beaded rooms that you can ask for $300?
Mr. Zima, there's nothing special. We have never had any issues whatsoever with how we run our facility. I have many security staff that are in and out of that room every 2 to 3 minutes. I also have a waitress that is in and out of there every 5 to 10 minutes. Someone is always within reach. I can see in, when I'm standing at the podium, I can see into the rooms. We have a very strict no-touch policy. And if you would like to question what our policies are and what's going on in there and how I train my staff, I will meet with you privately because I don't feel as though that's relevant to this license transfer. And I know you have a big number 11 that people are here for. But I will meet with you. I will give you my personal cell phone. We can get together and I will put your mind at ease.
Well, at previous meetings, we were told that there were 2 out-of-state partners and another partner in-state. And that one of them that was in-state, I guess, was going to even move here to Green Bay, if I remember correctly.
You're
So
talking.
you're, at least
First of all,
I
think-
remember it as being like 4 partners.
I think you're confused.
I might be.
I think you are. The one that's in state is actually Kevin. Now, we did talk about one of the gentlemen from Chicago who is potentially moving to Green Bay because of the other interests he has in the city. However, none of that is in play at this juncture until we get this passed.
So are you telling me that there's only 2 owners or investors?
I am telling you there are 2 owners, yes.
Are there any investors? This is all being recorded, as you know.
Absolutely. Are you accusing me of lying, sir?
Well, I'm only going by what was said at previous meetings, and I'm asking you to clarify.
There are 2 owners. There are investors, but the investors have no bearing on how the club is run. An investor is just like a
Do the investors have
bank.
any kind of bad records?
I can't speak for that because the investors don't run the club. It's
They
just
make the
like a
money.
bank.
The
You go to a bank.
Investors make money, right? They're partners.
No, they're
If they have a
not.
financial interest, they're a partner.
No, they're not. Let's be real.
They're not?
They are not. An
Okay,
investor.
please explain that to me. How they
Okay.
can not be owners, but they can be investors.
Well,
We're getting off track.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And it's not for me to speak to any
But-
of that. I just wanted to clarify, and if anybody would like to take me up on the offer, you're welcome to grab my cell phone number, and I would be more than happy to assure you. The club did go through, before the last city council meeting, I had every single person, 7 or 8, I think, people through the club doing inspections and signing off, and everything was immaculate and perfect, so, yes, we
Well, it's
have.
2 owners. I know when at our last meeting, which was quite a while ago, you said he was traveling also. So there's going to be a manager who's basically going to do the
That's
answer.
Kevin. Actually, my manager, my general manager is going to be
Kevin
running the
Weaver, is
club.
it?
Yes.
Here's a little history about you on the internet. We'll leave
Well,
that.
well,
Yeah,
Do you have some information that we don't have, Alderman Zima?
Well, if you're not interested, maybe you're not interested. in
Does
looking
anyone have any
forward,
questions?
But I think there's investors that maybe have dirty records. And these maybe are fronts for those.
There's no
investigating.
front. And I should tell you. the
I don't
reason-
know it. I think they should be.
Well,
forthcoming.
if you
This is
don't
a
know,
very
that's a heck of an
serious-
accusation to make without evidence. If you have evidence, bring it forward. If you don't have evidence, that's a spurious accusation that is just inappropriate.
Well, we were told there were 2 out-of-state people, but some of them are investors, we understand, and investors aren't owners, is what
They're not owners.
the
They're
guys are
like-
trying to tell us.
They are like, they put up money.
It's just like with every bar and everything else we have here, we have investors, but we don't do background checks on those individuals. We do background checks on the owners and the managers that are gonna be applying for the licenses.
So if there was a mob behind it, it's okay, as long as they're not
We're
owners.
We
not, we're
have-
not saying that, but if you have some information, we
Well,
certainly.
And if there's a mob behind it, that's a higher authority that needs to get involved than us. That has nothing to do with the license. That has to do with illegal activity that would involve the FBI, and I don't know who all else, but it certainly doesn't involve us. We're a little thing here with just, we have one job. We're issuing a liquor license, we're transferring a liquor license. That's all we need to look at.
Seems like you're more of an advocate than a questioner.
I am following,
I would just like to ask one question. When I look at the application, it has one name on there and it says sole member of the LLC. Do we,
That's because there's one, when you look at that particular LLC, yes, but for limited liability purposes, just like how I own the property there, the property is actually owned by Main Street Real Estate Development.
this is for the business, there's one,
Yes.
there's a sole owner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But there are investors in
Yes,
that business.
just like a bank, sir. Just like a bank, just like a hotel, just like any other operation when you raise money. But again, the operators have passed the background check. And
Well, I
your
guess I'd
duty
like- I'd
is
like to
to
know who all the
follow
investors
the
are in this
ordinance.
business.
It's not really your business. It could be
well,
private.
come on, let's focus on.
But any questions
Let's
for me?
focus on what we need to focus on. We're getting far afield here. Let's focus on what we need to focus on.
Thank you.
You can whitewash it if you want, sir.
I'm not, that's fine.
Lynn Austin, 1449 Laurel Street, Green Bay. I just wanted to bring some things to your attention, and I'd like them put in the minutes of the meeting.
Well,
In Milwaukee, 92% of human trafficking are females, 78% African Americans. The average age is 13.
but Lynn, what does that have to do with this?
That's where these businessmen coming into our city operate. And we have the reputation in Milwaukee as the 3rd worst place in the nation for the sex trade. We're not doing a good job in Wisconsin. And our Protection and Welfare Committee doesn't always really do a really good job, or our police department, about telling us, like people's police records and things like that. I just brought one example from my neighborhood. I came to this meeting some years back, and I was told at KK Billiards, the policeman that was here giving, the update said, oh, they have a pretty good record, only 2 or 3 police calls in the last, and I don't know if he said 6 months or whatever. Well, I knew I had called 4 times. So I went over and I requested the records from the police department. This is what they gave me, and mine weren't even in here because mine took place in front of the storefront next door. It cost me $56. That's how many police records were on KK Billiards. And I'm thinking, how does this happen that our Protection and Welfare Committee gets this, improper information regarding police calls and problems? And really that incident was a gang problem. Now, I have been dealing with prostitution on Main Street year after year after year. I have called the police department. We had a teenage prostitution ring right across the street for 2 years. I could not get it addressed. So finally, at the Mayor's Beautification Committee, when Mayor Jaden came, I embarrassed him in front of all of these kind of rich ladies that were on that committee, And as we each went around saying, could you help us with this thing in our district, I just said, do you think you could help me with the teenage prostitution ring that has been ongoing across the street? Well, he looked really embarrassed, and it was kind of funny. Within 4 weeks, I got a call from Lynn Munger, the neighborhood watch, supervisor, and he said, oh my goodness, did you know they did a big sting bust on this prostitution ring right across the street, and the average age of the girls were 13. Now, we should not be allowing that in the city. We are lax here. It's like he said, we don't have a vice squad. The sheriff said at that Brown County meeting that he has a real problem providing housing for these women who are sex slaves, to try to help them get away. I have more men that come up to me, and I think they knew because I wrote that article that time addressing the huge prostitution problem that did not get addressed in this city. They would come up and tell me different incidences. Like one guy, there was a woman who had been held captive, repeatedly raped, and hiding in the hall. He had to help her go to the police department. One of the employees at one of the gas stations said his boss was operating a prostitution ring in the basement, and he said, I can't wait to get out of here, and he, quit. These things are not getting addressed, and these kind of businesses coming in, not being thoroughly investigated. If there's any question whatsoever, you guys have an obligation to your citizens, to the poor people who have to live around those neighborhoods. And you just probably heard about what is going on at East Washington Junior High. Why do you think those kids act out? I was talking with a counselor, and you know what she said? She said because they live in fear, and their adrenaline is always up. So that's a blighted neighborhood. I've lived there 30 years, and I would like to see my neighborhood get cleaned up. I'd like to see decent businesses fill up those empty storefronts that have been sitting there for 5-6 years. Is that too much to ask? Could we just kind of clean ourselves up here? Could we have nice businesses? Could we try to reach out to businesses that help the general population? When you drive down Main Street, if it's at night, these, different kind of rich businessmen come out in their rental cars from the Oval Office, and they drive down Main Street. A few times we had to stop for a red light, and they pull up right next to us, and they're leering at my daughter. And I'm thinking, don't even think about it. Now, no mother should have to put up with that. What kind of neighborhood is that to raise a family? We ought to be ashamed of ourselves, the way that, we have operated here. And I would like to officially request that we get a task force on our human trafficking problem. So I'd like one of you guys to bring that up, and I'd like to see that happen so that we can kind of try to nip this in the bud before it gets worse. And here's all this is just in the last 2 or 3 months, all the records of everything they're dealing with in Milwaukee.
Well, that's Milwaukee.
Yeah, but that's where the businessmen are coming to move now into Green Bay.
These men are not from Milwaukee.
No, they operate 3 businesses in Milwaukee.
In West Dallas.
I thought 3.
1 in West Dallas. All the rest are not in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
They are
All
not
right.
anywhere near Milwaukee.
And then you probably got the screenshot about Heartbreakers. I sent it to you.
When?
Oh, you didn't get my email?
No.
I sent it to you.
I checked today.
No, this was about a week or 10 days ago already. Here's what's in regards to Heartbreakers, the reviews off of the Ultimate Strip Club list. And Jay Johnson writes, no touching unless you pay for a private room. I went around 6 p.m. on Thursday. There were maybe 5 girls or so in the club. There was only a couple people that were not dancers. but no girls on stage. I paid and then you had to sign in to read the rest. So, I mean, if I can find this stuff just by Googling the name of the place, and that was just the only one I remembered, or I would have looked up his other places. But here, you can put that in the minutes too. And I sent that to you, as well as the article I wrote about, the problems in this town. So hopefully you guys will, rise to the occasion. We have a low standard here, and we need to have a high standard. I think we deserve that.
Questions?
Yeah.
Yes. In the past year, have you noticed any illegal activity? on
I've
Main Street?
noticed, yeah,
And you called that
prostitutes.
in?
No,
Wow.
I don't call because I called about the huge drug operation in my neighborhood. And you know what the community police officer said? We don't have the money to follow up on it. And this is one of the biggest,
When it comes to drugs, that's an entirely different, they may be doing stings, they can't give up, you never know. You never know when it comes to drugs. If you
Well,
see any illegal
okay,
activity,
I'll-
please report it.
I'll tell you what happened when I called about the prostitution ring across the street, the lady at the police department.
And when was this?
When was it?
Yeah.
It was when Mayor Lynn Munger was, I don't know, maybe he knows when Lynn Munger was the neighborhood watch person. And I called it in, and she said to me, when I said, these are really young girls, one of them's gonna end up dead floating in the East River. Do you think you could do something about this? And I said, these are older men that are pulling in and picking them up. She said, we have prostitution all over the city. And she said, you wouldn't believe how young the girls are. And she just basically blew it off. And I'm thinking, after a while, like when I was running for county supervisor and I had to go around getting my signatures, all my neighbors were talking about the problems. And Mr. Galvin used to be our lieutenant or whatever, and he told me one time on the phone, I know if ever anybody calls the police from your neighborhood, it'll be you because you're the only one who ever calls. And all my neighbors told me they never call the police anymore because our police do not do anything. And that's why these kind of businesses are gravitating here, because they know. They pick places that are smaller towns, that they can just get away with everything. And we need to be careful, we need to be smart. And, do that task force. There's a lot of people who know what is going on in the city.
Any other questions? Keith, please. If you'd like
I
to
just
go.
wanted to make mention that, yes, we do not have a task force per se, but we do have one detective that does work full-time on human trafficking. We have a backup detective that works on it. Our CPs work in conjunction with them, and we also work with the Brown County Sheriff's Office on working on human trafficking type calls. So we do not have a explicit vice squad or whatever you call it, but we do have people working on those issues. So I just want to make that clear.
Well, we are the third biggest community in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But,
Yep. Alder Steuer.
Thank you, Chair. A couple of years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, my daughter, she's 20 now, and she was in high school at Southwest, and she came up to me and she said, Dad, what are you going to do about human trafficking? And my first thought was, it almost seems silly, but, we are a part of the world. And what I did is I did talk to the police. I did talk to 1 or 2 of the captains, and I talked about this, and I said, I was advised to kind of keep quiet for a little bit because there were some sting operations that were going on the west side, different areas. And I think at the time I was talking to the police about possibly getting an ordinance in place that would make sure that massage parlors, et cetera, are licensed by the state so that you could have inspections. A lot of these places that seem to crop up don't have that. So if there is human trafficking or anything going on, there's no licensing at all. So they can show up, you can be in a building, you can disappear within a day or 2. So I think that was one of the things. So I was doing a little research on that a year and a half ago. I kind of put it on hold for a bit, but I think maybe that is something that we should definitely look at. So
That was me that you
That
were
was
talking
you,
to, and
yeah.
I needed one of you guys to bring forward that, because we found one that they have in Howard.
Right.
And we were just waiting for somebody to bring forward. I was actually gonna go on Channel 5 to tell about it, but I couldn't do it until it came forward, so.
Well, I'm more than willing to
just
get
needs
back
come
on that.
forward so that we can, this group can do something about it.
Okay.
Like I said, we were all ready to go forward and it didn't come forward, so.
All right.
As soon as it does, we're willing to go.
Well-
And we did do inspections on all the massage parlors out there.
Mhm.
The only thing we could really cite for at that time was people staying overnight in the business. And we did actually catch, I think, 3 businesses that had people staying overnight. So, so we did do that at that time.
Right. I might have
We
moved
have
forward a little
nothing
more so,
else.
but there was a tendency to like think, well, we have a sting going on, and I just
There-
didn't follow up on that, it's like I should have.
Yeah, there was at one point, we had the FBI involved in it,
Mhm.
but they have since backed out, and that's where we're.
I'll be more than willing to visit it again, and any of my council members that would like to as well. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, we actually have the floor open right now. don't we?
Yep, floor's open.
So, maybe we could hear from the owner.
If the owner would. Name and address, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Kannan Sangaya, 17 Yukon Court, Bolingbrook, Illinois. The Milwaukee one, I want to address that the video was not provided. So that probably from the previous owner.
Yep.
Because we took over from 2015 and they had issues. And specifically when we went for the licensing, they specified that to us that we have to provide the videos and everything. So we have been properly doing that. And apart from that, like if you guys want to run a background check on me, I'm willing to provide my details. More than welcome to do that.
We actually already
I
have.
think we already have,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I just have
Question?
questions. How long have you been in this adult entertainment business industry? How long have you been in this?
6 years.
6 years? And what brought you into that industry?
You know, it is my cousin who is going to be the operating member on this GB Entertainment LLC. He used to work on that industry for more than 10-15 years. So he came to me as as an investment. He came to me. So that's how we got into this one. There's nothing else.
But you don't have all the money in this business, do you? We were told by at least the former, or the
I have
present
the
owner that
major stake
you
on the
have,
business, but we have other investors too, yeah. But I do have a major stake on all the businesses,
there's shares of stock in your business,
yes.
and that you're the major shareholder? You have more than 50%?
I have, not all of them, but it varies. It varies in the sense, some of them we fully own, like for example in Saphir, and Milwaukee and Darien, we have other shareholders.
I'm sorry, but I'm not understanding correctly. Would you just try to clarify it again?
So you asked like whether I have own a major share, 50%, right? Not on all of them.
So you're part owner on some, you're a major owner on some?
Correct, yes. Yeah.
This particular, in Green Bay, you would become the major owner?
Yes.
Or are you,
Will be,
Part of a group.
50% owner, yes.
excuse me?
I'll be major owner, yes, on Green Bay.
And so you're the major owner, there are other owners.
Yes.
And how many other owners are there?
There is, he's not a owner, he's an investor, so he's also, just one more, that's all. Apart from myself, there's another investor.
And he also lives in Illinois?
No, he does not.
Does he live in Wisconsin?
No, sir. He is out of
an owner from Illinois.
Yes,
And you're going to have other people managing it for you.
correct, yes.
How many managers do you have?
See, every property we have a
I'm
manager.
talking about just in Green Bay.
Green Bay, we are still working through the business plan and everything, but Kevin is going to be one of the manager. So he will be head manager, probably general manager you can call it. He will be the general manager, but once we have take over the business, then we will structure the business in a way how it should be based on our business structure.
So Kevin, is that Mr. Weaver?
Yes, Kevin Weaver.
He's going to be the temporary.
No, not temporary. He will be the general manager for Green Bay.
But you may make changes, you said.
If needed, we will bring in additional managers, if needed. Or we will retain existing general manager also.
Okay, and how long has Mr. Weaver been a manager of these type of facilities?
He's been over 15, 20 years, I would say.
Was he the manager for previous owners of these establishments?
Yes.
The ones that had problems?
No, we never had any problem.
I'm not talking about the last 2-3 years, I'm talking about last 10 years.
Last 10 years that he has been involved with?
He was involved in the previous businesses.
Not our business. He probably involved in some other business that we did not own.
But was he involved in the businesses that were owned before he was?
But he wouldn't necessarily know that.
No,
would you know
no,
that?
I
You'd have to ask him.
don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't, when you take application for somebody to be your manager, you don't look into their history at all?
No, definitely, we do look at the experience and his background record. When it comes clean, we would go from there.
So you did a background check, but you don't remember where he worked before?
Yes, sir. You know, I don't involve in the operation that much. You know, like I mentioned, I'm like owner of that other side of it, but operating is done by Kevin and Neela, who is going to be on the Green Bay Entertainment.
So you're kind of an investor yourself then? You're not really an owner?
I am going to be the owner.
Usually the owner runs an operation, he might have managers and everything else, but he's got a pretty hands-on approach to things.
Yeah, that,
I have the floor.
I know, but
I don't need you cross-examining me.
we need to stay focused, please.
I am focused, I'm extremely focused.
I guess I would ask, what's your thrust here?
Well, we have a man standing before us that has hardly any hands-on involvement in this business. He says that, well, it's like an investment for him. He's hiring other people to do it for him, and he's kind of vague about the people who are going to manage it for him, and doesn't seem like he has a real firm grasp on what he's doing.
Well, please.
Please state your name and address.
Kevin Weaver.
Can't we have the owner, please can we finish with the owner first?
I think we need to hear from Mr. Weaver.
You're making insinuations about something about my record, and I might as well be standing up here looking at you while you're doing
He's
I'm
the
it.
talking
manager.
to the owner. I can't even pronounce his name, and he can't answer questions
Oh,
very
that's
well.
terrible.
Come on.
Come on.
All right, go.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously, what?
Stop. Just everybody stop. Take a deep breath here.
We've
The
heard
owner-
about,
Go ahead.
we've heard about prostitution, we've heard about sex slavery. None of this applies to this business. All the women that work there are over 18 years of age. They're not brought in by people that run sex slaves. What you're talking about, that stuff, a lot of that stuff happens in Florida, comes in through the Caribbean. We've had classes on that at a lot of the conferences we go to. It's not something that happens up here. You're making insinuations about me. What is it you want to know?
We'll just leave you off the list for now.
Well,
He's not an owner, he's not an investor, he's gonna be a manager, I guess.
But you had
I am the
questions
agent.
about his management? You had information, you said, but
I don't have all of it here. I was mainly gonna concentrate on, wanted to talk to the owner, I'm glad he's here. And so far, he hasn't impressed me very much as a person who has a very hands-on or very much knowledge of what he's operating. He's got somebody to talk for him.
I'm not talking for him, but you were bringing my name up. I thought I should step up here to answer your
I'll just
questions.
step back from that, I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
I'll take those comments back for the time being. Thank you.
Any other questions for me while I'm up here?
No, sir.
anything else for the owner?
Would you pronounce your name again? I'm sorry.
Kenan,
Kenan?
yes.
Okay. Mr. Kenan, by your own admission here, it sounds like you're not going to have much of a hands-on operation here. You're not going to be here running the place. You're going to have other people run it for you.
Correct, the other owner,
I don't want to mischaracterize anything. that's what it sounds like to me.
like I mentioned, the other owner, Neela, who is on the Green Bay Entertainment LLC, he is also a owner and he will be running the business.
So, and he'll be back soon, or?
Yeah, he will be back soon. He will be back this week.
Okay. Good, well, we'll have a chance maybe to meet him at the city council meeting then.
Sure, definitely.
Anyway, I have no other questions for you right now.
Anyone else?
Motion return.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Motion return.
Well, is there anyone else willing, yep. Motion to return to
Regular order.
regular order by Alder Dorf, seconded by Alder Galvin, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are back in regular order. I would just like to state, right off the bat here, adult entertainment is a legal industry. And we should be very careful about slinging illegal activity at legal businesses without evidence. The times have changed. There are MBAs from college going into the adult entertainment industry. You can go to any major hotel and rent adult entertainment. This is an industry that in many ways has cleaned up its act. It may still have some problems, I don't know, but if without evidence of any wrongdoing, I feel very strongly it is wrong to be slinging mud at a business without any kind of evidence of wrongdoing. Whether that's a bar or any business. So let's focus on what we need to do here, which is following our ordinance. Do we have any issue with the transfer of license here? I myself
Well, for one, Mr. Chairman.
do not.
To date, and even though this has gone on over a month now, we have yet to lay eyes on, I guess, the other owner, not an investor, another owner, who
We
Has
called
not-
you, you were out of
has
town.
not,
Well, please.
I don't make my schedule by yours, ma'am.
But
Well, Mr. Mindel, you have something to say?
no, come on.
Well, I don't.
Focus on what you have to finish,
What's
please.
going on here?
If anybody else speaks up, I'm going to knock them down.
Uh,
You have the floor, please speak.
I don't know how thorough investigation has been made. From the speaker, the owner speaker here today, it looks like he has only a tangential relationship to the business, and mainly being more or less an investor. The one who is going to run the business, along with Mr. Weaver evidently, we have not laid eyes on or heard a word from yet. And of course, our committee uses our judgment. We have all kinds of people come before us asking for exemptions from when they've been turned down by the police department or whatever. And we judge them by how they speak to us. And we give them chances or don't give them chances based on what our intuition is about how they handle themselves. At this point, we haven't even laid eyes on or heard anything from the person who is supposedly going to run it. Now, one of the owners came here tonight, and you saw under the rather simple questioning I had nothing complicated, straightforward. Basically, didn't seem like he had much of a hands-on, and he's told us that another person is going to be the hands-on person. So I think we need to wait and read about these things. I think we have to look into a lot of other things about how our city operates. We are becoming a bigger and bigger city. And you know, when I was going to high school here, the whole county was about 100,000. Now we're about 250,000. These operations, if they aren't very carefully vetted and don't have the attention of our police department, very strong basis, can be places that attract the kind of activity that our community doesn't want. This is evidently a lucrative business. That's why people are interested in being investors. But I think we need to see who the real owner is going to be. And if there are other investors, I think we should know who they are, because we certainly don't want people with a very clean record fronting for people who may not have a clean record. Because the investors are the ones that want to make money. They're getting a return on their investment. I think we should know who those people are. And we should know their backgrounds. If they're all clean as a whistle, well, then maybe we move on from there.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, I would just like to add, or correct you, when you speak of when we have people come before us and we rely on our intuition, please don't speak for me. That's not how I do not rely on my intuition on that. I look for evidence of their character, of evidence of their situation, and in fact, I have gone against my intuition sometimes. I do not follow my intuition. I try to base it on facts, the best facts I can, to make the best decision I can. As far as this goes, I don't think the investors are any concern of ours at all, as far as what we need to do right here. If there's a problem with the investors, that should go to another legal authority. That's not something we would be involved in anyway. We are not the FBI. As far as the other owner, I think there have been times, I cannot remember specifically, but I don't remember other owners, if we've done background checks, I don't even know if they've all come before us, that we've met every owner of every business. I don't know if that's true. We've done the background check. The check has come back clean. Everything that all the evidence we have points to a well-run business. And I see no reason from my end why I would hold this up or not go forward with approving the transfer of the license so they can go forward with the sale. So that's my 2 cents. Anybody else?
Yeah, I would have to say, what I've been hearing here is a lot of rumor and innuendo. Like the chairman said, it's a municipal license that we're issuing. If someone has information about the mob, sex trafficking, or any other kind of state or federal or local violations, to keep it to yourself and then try and fling it out in the middle of a meeting is not the right way to do things. The right way to do things is to notify the proper authorities so they can investigate and get back to us if there are any facts that pertain to it. We've sat here now, this is the 3rd meeting, and again, we haven't heard anything substantial that indicates that either business is being operated improperly. And if there is, I certainly want to know before I give it permission. But I haven't seen or heard, no one's brought anything forward other than that. And until someone does bring that forward, I'm inclined to vote in favor.
Yes, Alder Dorf.
I don't see that there's any legal basis for me to vote any way but in the affirmative, and I'm ready to vote. That's it.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Galvin,
Second.
seconded by Alder Dorf. Anything else? Yes?
Just, Mr. Chairman, that the other licenses that we give out, when they are not sex-related businesses that operate in the business of sexuality. And we know there's serious problems all over the country. I guess we've heard testimony, especially in Wisconsin. We know that they're only starting to scratch the surface at the county level based on really testimony that came forward at a county board budget hearing really about a year and a half ago. And there has been interest, and the more you put effort into it, the more convictions you get, etc. Child pornography, another area. That
I thought we were talking about a license.
Yeah, we're really getting far afield here,
I'm just trying to give
sir.
you an analogy of there wasn't much effort put into it. Now there has been more effort into it, and there's been a very, so to pretend that this stuff doesn't exist and not in relation to sex-related businesses, maybe are very careful about what they do, etc. But I think it merits thorough investigation, and so far, all we've had is one-time testimony from an owner who is really not going to have a hands-on relationship with the business, may move to Green Bay, may not.
I'm not sure what you expect the police department to investigate. You have given us no information for them to go forward and investigate. They've called the other communities, talked to the police departments. If anything, they've said that whatever business they took over was operated better with less calls for service and less problems. If you have something, please, by all means, give it to the police department so they can have it or get something going by
The report
council
that was
meeting.
given to us, when they talk about heartbreakers in West Allis, they state that, that the guy was somewhat cooperative, but was not cooperative as they would like. And, when it goes on, that they always are fudging when it comes to the videos. They have certain ones, they don't have certain ones. We hear about $300 bead rooms. And I don't know. It's pretty close to the, I don't know.
So you're
what $300
But you don't
buys
know.
you.
That's it, you don't know. So,
Do you want the police department to do a raid some night and see what they find in there? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I think our vice squad should get more active. I don't think we really have one.
we don't.
I'm just telling you from my own experience in my own neighborhood. One of my own constituents, just 2 weeks ago, came and told me about the massage parlor industry in Green Bay. And I actually, a little naive, I didn't even know about it. I thought I saw a couple of them, but he was telling me about all of them that there were. There's a lot of them. And he said, some of them have happy endings, some of them don't. Some are more legitimate than others. But he said, there's really not much going on in the way of investigating what's going on in simple little massage parlors in Green Bay. So I think we need to start making better efforts.
I would say you're out of order in that that is a completely separate subject, and that they are unregulated, and that but this is regulated. We are regulated. They are under a microscope. They've been under a microscope for quite some time.
I'll tell you, that was the weakest performance I've seen of any owner that wants to operate a very serious business. It was almost embarrassing.
Well, that's enough.
You're on tape,
Call the
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and so are you. Now enough of this. Everybody knows we're on tape, okay? You don't have to keep saying that. That's ridiculous. And furthermore, I'd like to add, yes, this is a unique business and that has to do with the adult entertainment. But the other businesses we deal with have to do with drugs, alcohol. And there's certainly lots of problems in our community with alcohol and drugs. That doesn't mean we stop licensing them. If they meet the requirements of the law, we should do our duty and follow
You have only your own conscience to answer to.
And I'm
not-
explaining, I'm just,
I'm not-
hey, just let me finish. Let me finish. I am not.
You're not behaving very well, Mr. Chairman.
That's all right.
I have a motion
I-
on the floor.
I don't,
The motion-
I don't question your conscience.
Good. I'm not questioning yours. I hope that's well understood.
Stop doing it.
I'm not questioning your conscience. Yes, let's vote. All in favor of the transfer of the license? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. That passes 3-1.
That was the council.
That will go to council. We are on, where did my agenda go? Here it is.
Tell me how to spell his name. We can really do a search on someone when you.
Item number 10.
Great.
Consideration of possible action on a request by Alder for an update on the lead pipe removal project and an explanation of the amount of lead detected as reported in the recent annual drinking water report. I believe we have our very own water utility manager here.
Good evening.
Can I tell about how this came about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, certainly, go ahead.
This came about because the water report came out, and we have a copy of it in here. And so I got 3 calls, and, you know, 3 calls isn't a lot, but if some people were being confused about the water report, I really wanted an opportunity for Nancy to come forward and explain it. And the concern was, in that report, we'll go to number 2, okay. So the second to the last page, it shows that there's a chart. There's a chart. If you go down the chart to lead, it starts with fluoride, nitrate, sodium, copper, and then lead. It says that the acceptable or maximum allowed is 15, and detected level was 18. So there was some confusion that throughout the city, why is our water at 18 if the acceptable limit is 15? But that's not what that actually means. So take it away.
All right. I pulled together some figures that I can go over with you. And then here's a map of our progress on our public side. It's just sometimes visuals are easier to see. I know. We can go through all this. You guys want to see?
I'll look on my papers.
Okay, so if we just start, if we look at the
Looks like you're
testing.
taking care of about 1/3 of the problem so far from this chart here.
Yeah, probably. We gave ourselves 5 years to remove all the public side, and we are on track with that. We are
Actually,
ahead
yeah,
of track,
actually
yeah.
ahead of track.
Pardon?
We're ahead.
Yeah, we're ahead. We, as far as the 18 goes, first of all, we have to know that the lead is different from every other contaminant on that report. That's an action level, it's not a contaminant level, okay? So with that, what 15 parts per billion means to a utility is that they have to take action to try to lower that. That does not mean that that's a contaminant at 18 parts per billion, okay? So it's different than the other maximum contaminant levels that you're looking at. We know, and we've been working with the health department on this, that, and I'll just reiterate, maybe I said it before, but the lead to a child's blood lead level is, from water, is between the 10 and 15% of the total blood lead level. The rest of it's coming from lead paint and dust and other objects. At the national level, I've been involved with discussions. I gave presentations at a national lead collaborative, and that's what they're saying right now. They're trying to determine the health limits of lead from water, and they don't have them yet. Okay, because it's hard to separate that. Now again, and I think you alluded to this, this is the only time we're seeing lead is when we have a lead service. It's not in our source water.
That's an important point.
That's a very important
Yes,
point. We
it
have
is.
36,000 services to customers in the city of Green Bay. And their water coming from our treatment plant does not have any lead in it. It's only when it comes in contact with lead pipes in the ground that it can have some lead. We've been doing studies for 4 years, 5 years, trying to determine what might be causing it, and I think we're coming very close to knowing the answer. But I gave a history in 2005. You know, our highest, we had to do 50 samples. Our 90th percentile was 11, and our maximum was 44. And if you can go down there, 2012, we did testing, and 90th percentile was 27, and we had 490 parts per billion as our largest one. And as you can imagine, that was from particulate, meaning that things had flaked off the old pipes and they had come in. So we instituted the unidirectional flushing program, and with that, you'll see that our levels are pretty much going down. We have, we are in compliance right now. We have a 12 part per billion, and we had a maximum of 41. The 38 and 41 are from the same house. We've been trying to get a hold of the owner to let us in and get that replaced, and they are not responding, but we are working on trying to get that done. So we do, any home that tests over 15 parts per billion gets a letter within 24 hours about things that they can do. And basically, you can turn your faucet on for like a minute and get fresh water through there. Our public side, as we said, we did hire a new crew, and we're replacing 3 to 4 a day, and when we can, and we're ahead of our goal right now. Our goal is by December 31st to have 0 in there. The private side's a little bit more challenging. We have identified 184 homeowners that have a lead service on their side. We have sent letters to all of them. We have 127 homeowners have responded to us, and we have agreements with them to have a plumber replace, or a contractor replace their lead service. It's one where we don't have a lead service on our side. So we have 94 of those done. And we've estimated, we've gotten funding from the DNR of about $317,000 already, and we've also used the city funds. It's important that the city funds be recognized here as being extremely important to this program, because there are some properties that do not meet the requirements of the DNR regulations or the DNR loans, and we are able to get the lead out regardless. So we are still working because of that money that you've allocated to us, and I want to thank you again for that. But we have 127 of those that we estimate, our average cost is about $4,800, what we're seeing right now. And it's about allocated about $608,000, so that's over our $500,000 that we would have gotten from the DNR. So again, that city funding is helping us to get this lead out of the ground. We are ahead of other communities. We are one of the leading ones in the nation to do this program. I've been giving talks on it at national level. We have 758 properties in the city which we do not know their service material. We're trying to get into their homes. We've knocked on their doors, we've left hangers, we've sent letters, we've sent 3 postcards, and we aren't getting into them. We're trying to figure out a way to get to these homes. We just went with the neighborhood association. Our communication director is trying to work with them to see if we can get in there, because we have to identify that they have lead before we can make a program. We've found...
Why aren't we getting in?
They won't contact us. They won't let us in. I don't know.
All right, can we get a warrant?
No, seriously.
For inspection purposes, you can obtain a warrant to inspect a home if you have probable cause to believe that there's something hazardous in there. I mean, especially if these are rental properties.
That's what we're thinking that most of them are, yeah. The thing is that we know historically of the ones that we've identified in that age range of 1945 previously, that maybe 2% of all those homes would potentially have lead. So we're fine. We would guess maybe 20 or 25 homes of the 758 might have lead in them. So.
Can I just ask a question? You think it would be beneficial for us to put an ordinance in place, at least some kind of policy in place that said, unless you've met the lead abatement requirements of inspection, that, you know, the sale can't go through until that's been completed, or will be completed within 6 months of the new owner taking possession.
I do know that you guys
It just seems to me that there should be ways to identified facilities. It looks like if what you're saying is true, that maybe 2%, so there's maybe 15 properties of that 750
That could have.
potentially could have some lead problems, and we're just trying to do our best we can to help people. My other question was about and if that would be beneficial, please just indicate that to us, maybe our attorney's office could advise us about that.
I do know that you guys passed a resolution, I think that any sale of the home has to disclose whether they have lead or not. So if a home sale is going on, I believe that that's required now.
Well, in a
For them
condition
to-
report, you only ask that you have to, tell about things that you're aware of. And so somebody might not be aware of it, they wouldn't have to do it. I think we need some specific language, at least for those properties that we have identified, that those properties cannot be transferred until
Yeah,
inspection has been made.
We were talking at our manager's meeting today and saying maybe we should write a letter that said final notice, the funding's gonna be gone. If we can't, right now, they don't have to pay anything. And we have another year or so of funding that we've applied for with the DNR, that we don't know exactly if we're gonna get it, but we've been told we can get $150,000 to $200,000 more from the DNR potentially for next year. And we're trying to get it for our citizens, and we're trying to figure out a way to get in there. And if I guess with that, an ordinance or something might help us.
Something to go on with the tax bill, but I mean, we need to identify these people, and they need, it seems hard for me to believe we've got 700 and some people who are paying their water bill, and we can't get them to communicate with us. I find that hard to believe.
We do too.
We
sent three postcards.
You have to understand, there are some people that have a hermit-type attitude about life.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I can tell you about 10 houses that I'm aware of in my district that nobody will ever answer the door. And when I asked the neighbors about it, they said, that's just the way they are. So, I don't know. My other question was about the 184 private properties, and you've made contracts with 127, and 94 are done already, you said?
Yes.
Of those other 57 that are outstanding there, is it the same problem, that they haven't responded to you? How is it that you did identify it? Because we knew the pipe was going in from the city?
We had some data, our meter changeout people started about 5-10 years ago, putting in the GIS system. If they found lead, we're changing the meter by luck and circumstance, but we change meters every 20 years, so right now, we go in and we check when we replace a meter, and we put the material type in there. So we would gather it over 10 or 20 years.
Why don't we put a check on these 758 then?
A check?
Check the meters.
Well,
and then, as Mr. Galvin said, you can send a letter that they'll be forced to.
I can understand, you're a hermit, you don't want to come out. The only one you're hurting is yourself. But if we have rental properties with children, young people, things like this, and they're not aware that their owner, their landlord, has lead in the pipes, that's a big concern. And, I know you've been doing a lot. I saw you tear up my street last year and put it all back together, but I think we need to be, without, I'm not coming down on you, but I think we need to be more proactive on this.
Well,
especially if we lose that funding next year. Those people are gonna be sitting.
Now, we actually, once we get the funding, we have 3 years to spend it. And because of the prices, we're just concerned about, maybe not getting it. We had to submit this year with our application for the loan, which was due June 30th, a list of addresses with all lead services that we knew. And we could use galvanized services, so we added more so we could try to get more funding for the lead.
Was galvanized, and Mr. Galvin approved of it then?
Yep. He gets a percentage.
But I understand. We are trying different things. We've done contests where hey, you can get a night at the Tundra Lodge if you let us in your house, and we've got drawing and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we've tried some of that stuff, and then honestly, we sent three different times. We sent big postcards saying, please call us, we need your help. And we got maybe 400 to 500 homes that responded to that. And then we sent letters and said, hey, we're gonna be in your neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. We got like 700 people that responded to that. So, I mean, we were at 2,200 and we're down to 750. And so, I will just say that around the country, this is the #1 thing that utilities are struggling with, is how to determine the material type.
What makes you think that I thought I heard you say that you thought most of them were rental units?
Because we were just talking about that today, and it looked like in the neighborhood there was a lot of rental units in the
Of
downtown.
the 758?
Yeah, we didn't identify exactly, but there was some that were, and we wanted to talk to, well, we have to send it to the owner, because the owner has to.
Is it mostly in the inner city then?
Yeah, it's in the downtown area. We have a map on our website if you want to take a look at where all the other.
So the contacts do go to the owner, not to the resident?
The only thing is that the resident we did put door hangers on there. We went door to door, every single house, our meter guys did. They knocked on the door and asked to get in. And people didn't respond.
Well, it seems to me that if they're landlords, they'll want to know if something can be done for nothing. And so maybe a letter needs to be sent to them.
Yeah, we
And
sent
that if
3
there isn't
postcards already, but
response,
we'll send more.
We have to resort to an ordinance that will not allow a property to be sold without this inspection being made. And that there is money available at this present time, and that if that money is used up, not available within the next 2 years or whatever it is, that they will be required to pay for it themselves if they do have a problem. I think there's a way to, I think you just got to more directly go after it.
Okay. I mean,
Well,
we're
appreciate what
doing
you're doing.
everything we can, and we have our
no.
communication director
Also,
who's
there
helping
are,
us.
there are hoarders that don't want anybody to come into their house.
We've had, I've got horror stories from our meter change-out people going into people's basements.
We appreciate your
I have
work.
I have a question for the
Yep.
group. I wonder, I asked Nancy to come here and to give this explanation. Would it be beneficial for her to give a similar explanation at the council meeting? Just to get the word out a little bit more, just to get a little
I just
press
think
on
they
it?
should make another effort, maybe around kind of the idea that I'd said, that if you feel most of them are, they're not occupied by the owners, that you send a letter directly to the owners make it very clear about
Well, we've
what
sent 3
are the
letters to the
consequences of
owners
not
already.
answering, and that there is no cost at this point in time if they respond.
All the initial postcards did go to the owner, and then we went door to door. So, and then we sent letters to the owners again, asking to get in, because we have to do,
How about registered receipt?
Costs a little bit more, but
Costs
it
a
might
lot.
be,
Well, we're talking 700 times a couple dollars,
I mean, these are ideas that I'll take back to our communication director, and we'll continue to do
And just
what we
report back
can
to
do.
us.
So you guys don't see the value of
Make a motion to,
I don't know how, it's mostly in the inner city. I don't know, that there's a lot of
Okay.
owners that really wouldn't.
I would just
You know,
say
and-
too that Lori's trying to communicate with Lori Lotus is our new communication director, and she's
Okay.
been reaching out to the neighborhood
Okay.
coordinator and trying to work with the downtown neighborhoods to see if she can get in there. And they said sometimes they're not holding meetings anymore because people won't come to them, but they do look at the Facebook pages and they're doing stuff like that. So we'll work with the neighborhoods at this point to try to get in that way.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
my motion would be to hold this for 3 months and ask the director to come back with any suggestions if she still is having problems.
Well, could we just, if she needs us, she'll come to us? I mean, I'm sure she's got our number.
I mean, if you want, details, we can certainly send you updates
well,
and
if
things.
you could just send us an email update. I mean, if you're having success, if you're not having success, then I think we need to reexamine this. And 3 months, if you think that's enough time to determine if you are gonna need some more assistance, if you think that's okay.
So do you think an ordinance would help us?
I mean, we'd have to look into whether or not we have the authority to draft an ordinance like that and actually enforce
Yeah,
it. And
that's
I
what I
think
was
there's a lot of
thinking.
state and federal laws that regulate the selling of houses and things like that.
I mean, I actually did ask our customer service, I said, are any of those meters up for replacement that we could get in them right away? And he was gonna check on that, but we can turn water off if they won't let us into a house to check a meter, so that is a.
I'll let you in, turn my water on, please.
So, yeah, we're continuing, I assure you, we're trying to do everything we can to get to these people, because this funding, once it's gone, they'll have to replace it themselves, because we do have an ordinance on file right now that says that they have to replace the lead if we find it, so.
I guess I would make a motion that just notify us by email or whatever in 3 months, the progress you made.
All right.
And as part of that motion, I would also have staff check the legality, just so we're able to move forward if we have to. You know, in 3 months' time, Joe, if you guys could do some research and let
That'll
us
give us some
know our
time to see what the
options.
neighborhoods are doing
If we
and
have
stuff.
to do something like that, then at least we know what we have to do. Or if we can't do it, then we'll have to go look for another option.
I'll second that.
Yeah. And certainly, in less than 3 months, if there's anything you think we can do, let us
Yeah,
know.
we are talking as staff of how we can get into those homes, and we're trying to figure
Yeah.
a way to get in there, so.
Yeah. So,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate that.
There was a motion
Oh,
by
yeah.
Alder Galvin, seconded by Alder Dorf to, did you get that, Joe?
Hold for 3 months, and also to add on to that, to check
Staff.
out the legality of options to get in the home from staff.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, last but not least, we're on to item number 11. Consideration of possible action on a request by Alder Scannell to draft a policy or resolution banning weapons from municipal buildings. We've come to this point. Unfortunately, I was hoping we could do a compromise and just ban open carry, but that just is not going to work with the way state statute is now. So it's either we do a ban or we don't do a ban. So I figured let's have that discussion and make a vote and decide, you know, what we're going to do here. For me, I would like to focus on, I think in the past, most municipalities have done this, have done it as a safety issue. For me, I mean, we could certainly encompass that. For me, the real issue and what really brought this forward was that there were some people at a meeting who did not testify before the council because they felt intimidated by somebody carrying a weapon, open carrying. So for me, that's the real issue here. I feel everybody should be able to participate in the governance, local governance, certainly. And so that's why I've been pushing this and working it, and believe we need to have this discussion. So,
Well, I would say, Randy, it'd be a whole lot better world if nobody felt the need or had to carry guns, okay? You look back in the Old West days, you hear all the law and everything moved around there, and obviously society developed laws and rules over a period of time because they didn't want what was taking place in those towns and cities at the time. But, and I also am concerned about people not wanting or being intimidated or afraid because there are people that are openly carrying guns. I never want someone to feel that they can't express their opinions at City Hall or any of these subcommittee meetings because of that. That being said, there are a number of people that carry weapons into City Hall all the time. Some conceal them, and I applaud that. I would urge those that don't to think about doing that. But I'm not in favor of an ordinance banning it if there's no way of enforcing it. To me, it makes no sense to have the people that obey the law not carry a gun, but then the people that illegally possess it or have ill intent, there's nothing there to prevent them from doing that. It's when I was on the job and open carry and concealed carry wasn't allowed, it was easy for us. Anybody that had a gun pretty much was considered a bad guy, and it made your life a whole lot easier. But we're going to have people coming in. If we make this law, the only people that aren't going to be carrying are the ones that obey the law. And, I know that gets us into this vicious cycle again. But I just can't in good conscience. Again, like I said, I'd love it if the only place we had guns was for hunting and sport and things like that, that we didn't have to carry them all the time. But I'm not in favor of an ordinance that can't be enforced either. It doesn't make sense.
That's the problem with the concealed part, yeah, open carry part is, yep. And yes, Alder Dorf?
I have not had very many constituents at all seem concerned about this issue. I'd heard from a couple, but since we started talking about this, I've heard mostly from the conceal and open carry people and their opinions about it. And I don't feel there's a lot of pressure from the public right now for us to ban the weapons from City Hall or from municipal buildings.
Well, I just don't feel that we create laws just to abate people's fears. People can have legitimate fears and not legitimate fears, but I think we should just keep the ordinance as we have it, and if we are going to change it, I think we ought to announce a big public
We
hearing.
have no ordinance, there is no ordinance.
Well, okay, I mean, we don't have an ordinance against it. And if we were going to consider one, then I think we should announce a public hearing and make it well publicized, so. I tell you, the council, well.
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time now. I think everybody this is pretty.
Yeah, well, we always have the same 4, 5, 10 people.
Well, they're the ones that carry the
Well,
most.
they're-
Yeah.
Obviously.
But what I'm saying is, I was on the council when this was originally tested, and it was very thoroughly vetted, and I don't remember the final vote. I thought it was unanimous or close to unanimous that we don't create an ordinance banning it. And the meeting went on that night for at least 3 hours, if not more, and the vote was very definitive. And so unless there's a big petition and a hue and outcry, so that we want to have another public hearing regarding it, I think we should just make the motion, receive it and place it on file.
Second.
We should, yeah.
I'll make a motion
to open.
I think we should finally do that.
I'll make a motion to open the floor.
Motion to open the floor by Alder Galvin, seconded by Alder Dorf, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the floor is now open.
You want to speak?
I want to speak after the gun guys.
Okay.
We've heard from them 10 times. We want to hear from whoever's got a different opinion.
You haven't heard from me yet. but-
No, you look for, please state your name and address.
My name is Mike Shea. My address is 2751 Woodstock Court, Green Bay, Wisconsin. You haven't heard from me because I've only actually lived in this city in my own house for the past year, so I wasn't here in the city proper when this was going on before. I did grow up in Green Bay, went to high school, grade school, middle school in Green Bay. But I just happened to live right across the border last time this came up over in Bellevue.
Welcome to Green Bay.
Yeah, welcome back, right? I make a living doing firearms training. I own a shooting range, again, just over the border. I didn't dress any special way to come here because of what's going on. This is what I always wear. I always have my gun. To me, it's more of an advertising tool. And Mr. Galvin, you're right, absolutely, people should conceal if they can. That's a great policy. I don't, because for me, it's an advertising tool. And you're worried about, you mentioned that people being scared or intimidated. I can tell you, in all of the years that I've been doing this, I've had one person say anything to me that was negative. One person in Green Bay, or anywhere for that matter, that was a negative. Most people come up to me and ask me, is that legal? Are you allowed to do that? And then we get into a discussion. I give them a business card, I talk to them. We can stand here and say the same things to talk about your fear of somebody being afraid to speak out. There are people that come into my facility, and I've got a little waiver they sign that says, one of the things it says is everything's video and audio recorded in this building, everywhere. And they'll walk out because that's a fear that they have. But does that mean that we're going to stop video and audio recording everything that we do out in public spaces? Of course not. We can't, as Mr. Zima said, we can't legislate to the fear of the minority. We can't legislate to the fear of the people. We have to legislate to what's right. We have to legislate to what the law is. And in this case, it sounds like the council has made it clear before where they stand. You've heard all of the pro-gun and anti-gun arguments before. That, to me, is not what this is about right now. This is about whether people think it's intimidating or something like that. I can stand here, and I'm sure Henry and all the other guys that have stood up here and told you all about the pro-gun and the anti-gun stuff, and they're all right. But at the heart of what you're discussing today, Mr. Chairman, was somebody was intimidated and they didn't want to speak. What happened when they're intimidated about the next thing? Do we want to set the precedent that they were intimidated over somebody carrying a gun, now they're intimidated over a camera, we need to take care of that? Somebody doesn't like alcohol, it intimidates them. Their father died of alcoholism, maybe we won't have alcohol in Green Bay then, so let's legislate that. I'm not trying to get into the slippery slope argument, but where does that start? Where does intimidation begin and end? We would never look at the camera situation and say we can't cover this with press. That would go against the First Amendment. Yet we're sitting here to say, well, somebody was intimidated, let's attack the Second Amendment. Why would we attack one amendment and not the other? That's something that I would ask you to consider when you're thinking about this. Standing here, sounds like most of you are saying the same thing. This is not an issue. Nobody's asking for it. Nobody's looking for it. We're not hearing about it on the streets. You're not hearing about it from your constituents, so why are we even talking about it? If we had one person or three people, I agree, it's great to have a discussion, but I finally came, because this has been going on for months, and it sounded like maybe tonight it was gonna get kicked over, and it's like, why are we even talking about this? Is it because you guys like hearing the same stuff over and over again? I don't think you do. So that's all I wanted to add to it is, I'm not gonna go over the gun stuff. If you wanna talk about the gun stuff with me, come over to my shop, I'll be happy to do that with you. I wanna talk about the law, I wanna talk about the way it makes people feel and why are we legislating feelings. I mean, somebody was intimidated. I'm sorry about that. Next time, give them my number. I'll show them that they don't have to be afraid of guns.
Just a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about the municipalities that have banned weapons?
Well, let me tell you, my business is technically in Bellevue. Every few months, I get a letter from Bellevue saying, please, come advertise at our baseball diamonds. You're a local business, we want to put your banner up. I do not advertise at Bellevue because Bellevue does ban. They know that's why I don't advertise. I always send a letter in response. I do advertise in the city of Green Bay. I advertise on the buses. One of the reasons that I advertise on the buses in the city of Green Bay is you do not ban. I support businesses and communities that support my business and community. It's that simple.
Good, thank you. Anyone else?
Can I talk?
Certainly. But you got, we're timing you to 3 minutes.
You know I can't stop. Henry Marr, 2920 Cross Haven Avenue. Mr. Zima, you brought up something that I wanted to be brought up, was the phobias of people. And you know that I like to have concealed. That's who I am. I understand about open for advertisement. I do understand that. You notice that someone else here has theirs concealed that was open last time. We're talking about it. Let's just pull together on it. I don't mind you asking. I don't think anybody here minds asking. Can you just keep it? People don't want to testify because if someone has a firearm or any type of weapon. Yeah, I can see the intimidation. I can understand it. But everybody has a phobia. I don't like nuts in cookies. Let's ban the cookies with the nuts, you know, okay. I understand phobias, let's just work together. And I still don't see an issue with you just saying, can we please keep them concealed? We would just appreciate it. Don't worry about the law.
Can't do that.
Just ask.
Well,
Is it okay? I mean, I want your opinion on that.
We can't ask. We can't ask. We can't put up a sign saying, if you're carrying, please consider concealing or something like that. It's just, it doesn't make sense. But, you know, if you would let the word get out,
Yeah.
it goes a long way. Because you can certainly understand people being concerned.
Yeah.
Why can't you ask?
State statute won't allow us to, we have to either decide
All or none.
All or
All or
nothing, by state statute,
And-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping to do, was a compromise along.
And the
But-
reason why it is there is because of the
But let's-
funding, and the fact of places that say, well, we want those, and they're trying to push law that's not existent, and you can see the issue.
Sure.
But let's all just get along. The bill's been brought up many times, a lot of different subjects, a lot of different areas, a lot of things we've talked about. Let's just ask and, just say, hey, let's pass the word.
Well, and-
It will work.
And you guys have a connection to the community, so if you could spread the word, I'm sure
I have.
a lot of people would appreciate it.
I have. I've been just myself, just kind of, and I teach it that way. Because concealment is the best way anyway, period. You're the bad guy, you don't want to cite you out. So concealing is the best way to do it, period. For everybody's sake, and for people who have phobias about it. It works the best, period. So I believe in it. But anyway, thank you much.
Thank you.
I don't have to say much more, do I?
Yeah,
You did a good job, Vinnie.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Alder Steuer.
Thank you, Chair. I used to be on P&W for about 4 years, and we talked about some of these issues in the past. I guess what I'd like to, I remember one time we denied someone a license because they were brandishing a shotgun at a house party. I just remember hearing the word brandish and shotgun, I thought, no, we can't have that. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, is there a definition about brandishing? You know, if you're, let's say, okay, and I sit in the front, so I see everybody, you know, at a council meeting, and the folks said, you know, there's conceal, there's the open carry, you know, I've seen all of that. I personally don't feel threatened, you know, I'm speaking for myself, I feel okay. I think in a perfect world, I think the conceal would be okay for me. The open, I'm probably a little more leery of, but I'm just wondering if someone is standing in a threatening type position, you know, where is that fine line? If
Well,
someone is
that's-
just standing there with a weapon?
If the gun's holstered,
They can stand how they want.
they can
stand on their head.
It's if they were to access it, put it in their hand, take up a shooting position, that's brandishing, that's waving
So
it
you're
around.
actually- you're
But if
handling-
it's in the holster, if it's slung over the shoulder, that's safe and secure. I mean, there's no way that weapon should harm
Well, I
anybody
guess
like
maybe
that.
some of the fear, and I'm not going either way on this, I'm just saying some of the fear would be if somebody did brandish, we do have an officer there.
Right.
And a lot of times with weaponry, it's a split-second decision. You don't have a lot of time sometimes to think.
Well, that's
So,
and
I
that's the
guess
concern.
that's-
I mean, that's always, that's my concern. You know, someone does come in and accesses a gun in a threatening manner, the officer starts to deal with that threat. Someone else decides maybe they're gonna help out the officer, they start drawing, before you know it, the officer's trying to decide who's good,
Yeah.
who's bad, or
Yeah,
you
that's
end up with a melee, but I mean, brandishing is, to me, brandishing is always meant, it's in your hand and you're using it in a way that's threatening, not just holstered or over your shoulder in a sling.
Yeah, well, I just, like I said, we dealt with that at P&W in
Yeah.
the past, so I just needed to clarify that.
You'd like to add
No, I
another
did make
comment?
a comment about the city ordinance, really nice. You may not go forth carrying a weapon in the open per se in a threatening manner. That's almost a quote from our Green Bay City ordinance. You may not go forth in a threatening manner. You do not have to have it in a holster. It can be in your hands. But if it's in a threatening manner, that's what you do not do, obviously. Now, brandishing can also mean insinuating. Now, if I stood up there and wiggled my hips a little bit and said, hey, look at my gun,
Or this, or, all I'm saying is that, you know, you can have a threatening pose without, to me, without actually holding the weapon.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where.
But
That
there's
could be
not,
dealt with by our officers.
Well, right, but that's the fine line that I have a hard time with, you know, as far as.
Well, and that's why officers have definitions that they use when they're trying to assess a person. You know, are they setting themselves up, you know, to make it look like they're gonna draw a weapon? I mean, they're standing there, and then there's the stance you get into just prior to drawing, things like that you'll see them use in their details.
Right, but if somebody is standing at a 5-6 hour meeting that we often are at, you can't expect the officer to be looking at these people all the time.
No, you can't.
There's not a
And,
perfect
you know,
world, there's no perfect world.
But
There
again,
is no perfect.
the only way to prevent that is to create ordinance where there's no carry, and then we'd have to have metal detectors and officers at the doors to guarantee that people entering aren't carrying concealed. And that's, even Brown
that-
County hasn't set up a
Right.
system yet at the courthouse. But that's why they have it at the airports and that. And you see the amount of manpower it takes and the cost to do that. I mean, again, in a perfect world, it'd be nice if no one had the need to carry unless they're out for sport, whatever. But
It seems like locally, we've given up a lot of that to the state as well. I mean, is that true with a case like this? As far
Well,
as
the state has made the statute that.
we have the right to set ordinance that they can't carry in any city buildings. This city, like it's already been said, did a lot of talk and research on that, and they decided some time ago that it would be okay for individuals to enter city buildings armed.
So, has the committee looked at other cities? Is Appleton
Yeah.
one of them?
Yes, we had the whole.
Most municipalities have a ban,
Okay.
the vast majority.
Now, the Green Bay Police Department is restricted, and municipal court is restricted.
All right. That's all I have right for now.
Are you,
I'm ready to.
all right.
Okay, Tackle, you're up.
Have at it.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
First, name and address, please.
Taku, T-A-K-U, because I don't want it spelled taco. Ronsman, R-O-N-S-M-A-N, at 1688 Beaver Dam Drive.
Okay.
Okay, I want to say that the other municipalities that have it, some of them that I called did say it for the same reason that you mentioned, as a safety issue. And I know you personally don't believe that. I believe that. The Surgeon General that got fired because he supported it, he got fired for supporting it as a public health issue. But there's a big groundswell now of medical organizations that are demanding that it be treated as a public health and safety issue. So it's not going to die here. It's going to, and especially with all the assaults going on now with, I don't know, the race issues and all throughout the United States, the fighting back and forth between the, I don't know, the two sides, and the gun, people getting shot with guns, and the violence. It's not gonna go away. And you can say that people have a phobia. I don't have a phobia. I'm one of the people that requested it be addressed once I knew, people were carrying guns. A lot of people in the public, when I was talking to people from the my neighborhood, they had no clue that people carry guns. People are unaware, but, and I didn't know until someone pointed it out when we were at a meeting, and I got the picture in front of me where there's the carry guy, and then there's a guy that's, open carry, and then there's the concealed carry person, and then there's the police officer. The only one that I would go to if there was trouble, I would go to the police officer. I would go to you. I hope you have a gun. Because I want to know who I can trust. I don't know who that guy is.
Please just address.
I mean, I don't know who these people are. I don't know who kicks their dog and explodes and beats up their wife, or who molests their children, or who. I don't know anything about that. Nobody does. But I know I can trust the police officer that's in there in City Hall. And the thing is, I go to my bank. The first thing I see when I walk in the credit union, no guns or weapons. Nobody complains about that. Nobody says they have a phobia. And I went to I was invited to go, I think it's Titletown Brewing, the one that's over on Lombardi Avenue. Is that Titletown? Is that
the new one?
Yeah.
That's Hinterland.
That one. I got invited to come to that. And nobody complained, I don't want to go there because I can't bring my gun. And I got to meet some of the gun guys. But the thing for me, I don't have a phobia, and I'm not scared of guns. I'm not scared to die. And if somebody did shoot me, I believe I'll come back and have vengeance on them, or someone from my family. I'm Sicilian Italian. My grandfather murdered a man, and my granduncle murdered a man. My
grandfather got away with it because the governor got him out after 20 years and he got to work for the governor. But he murdered someone. So I'm not scared of guns, but I am very concerned about the gun culture and the fact that people think it's funny to intimidate people. And in my mind, just carrying an open gun into a city hall when you can leave it in your car and you can, if there's something that happens, you can go out in your car and get it because there's a police officer there. In my mind, that's being very disrespectful.
She has the floor, and we have to...
In my mind, it is very disrespectful of our police force to say, we don't trust our police force to do the job, you know? And I trust my police force. And the thing is, when I said something to someone that was carrying a gun, because someone said to me, look, there's someone there carrying a gun, and they asked me to say something. So then at the end, I said something, and then a few days later, people start talking about me and other people on the internet, and then I kind of let it go, because I emailed some stuff to you guys. I couldn't come to one of the meetings, but then I started seeing stuff, and I started taking snapshots of it, and one of them, they said, oh, I know who's going to be at the meeting when they discuss the guns, Taku. And then they said, and then one of the guys said, would it be rude to order pizza wings and have it delivered to city council? I'll sit next to Taku and eat it all. Gross her out. I'll jab her with the butt of my pistol. Now that to me is intimidation. And you can say, oh, they're just being funny.
No.
It's not funny to me.
Taku,
it's not
Taku,
funny.
That's rude.
And then it gets worse. Then someone else says,
Yep, but-
we can go on each side of her and hit her with the butt of her. I don't want to sit by any of them, because if they talk like that, and if one of them tries to sit by me, I will say, go sit somewhere else. So I want you to know that when I come here, I know who concealed carries because they blab about it all the time on the internet. And they show pictures of them standing with their guns and in front of a sign that says no loitering, order the police department, and they got their big guns with the multiple fire guns, whatever. They think it's funny. Okay, have your fun. But, and if somebody does anything to my van, or, because when this whole thing, when the tobacco thing was going on, I would get threats. When I was trying to get City Hall and the business to smoke free, I would get threats on my phone saying they were going to burn down our house, or they were going to do this or do that. So if somebody does something, people know who's doing that. And I want you to know that I take it seriously when people are joking, because things that they say, it shows their animosity. And so I get angry about this because I never had to even think about that in the past, and nobody had to think about it. Now the people that are concerned, because it is a safety issue. Guns are dangerous, and it doesn't. And sometimes they accidentally go off, and sometimes people get caught in crossfire. You hear about that all the time. Innocent people getting caught in a crossfire. So do we want lots of people carrying guns, and then if somebody comes in with a gun, everybody shooting willy-nilly? Or do we trust the police department to know when there's a dangerous situation and handle it? That's all I got to say. I trust the police department. If you need more police, do it. And as far as having to get the machine, what do you call that? That where you
Metal detector?
Metal detector. Those other municipalities aren't doing that.
Right.
They call it self-enforcing. It's self-enforcing. You've got video going on. You'll know what's going on. Somebody else sent something, like, don't worry about it. And the people that get caught, then they get a fine, and you send them out to their car with their gun, or you confiscate their gun. But I think it's time for them to grow up. Okay, I take that back.
Yeah.
I think it's time for the people that carry guns to realize that if you got a gun, to recognize it's a weapon, and there's appropriate places to have that weapon. When you're going hunting, when you're doing target practice, not when you're in a city building doing city business. So that's my piece.
Anyone else care to speak?
Can I respond?
Uh,
Nicely?
Response.
How about we just close it off? We've heard you twice now.
Well, I just want to, you did cite something in the law that was incorrect. I spoke up, I do apologize for interrupting you. I don't know you. You could be writing to me, you could be someone bad. I don't know who you are.
What's the correction?
What did
You
I
said
say that's
that-
not
You said
correct?
there's something occurring in this room, you could run out to your car and get your gun and bring it back in. That's a violation of state law, by the way. If you want to take my class, I'll teach that to you. I
You're not making
also-
any sense.
I am making a lot of sense, because that's the law. I helped write the law, by the way. I was involved in its writing back in the early 2000s. I know the law, I teach the law. Don't question that, please.
Okay.
Now, I don't know you, but the thing about it is that, for instance, Associated Bank loves it when I have a firearm on.
Okay.
Harbor Freight, I talked to them.
Okay,
or Harbor,
okay.
anyone.
You two
Okay,
can
but-
talk
no, no,
out
but-
in the
I just
hall
want
after
you
the
need to learn the
Yeah,
law a little bit
no,
more.
Stop.
No, okay, but
All right.
now we know
Listen
the
to
law is you can't, if your weapon's in the car, you can't go out to get it and come back to a, well,
There are 4 parameters that must be followed. The first is reluctant participant, and you must not have any knowledge of a crime going on. If a crime goes on here, I go out to my car, I willfully come back in here with my firearm. Now, I can make that choice, but that is a violation of, in the law, the statutes of Wisconsin, that you have to be a reluctant participant. You have no idea what's going on, like a bolt of lightning hits.
Well, there
Law
you
enforcement
go.
can do it because they are trained to do that, and that's what they're supposed to do.
right?
Then
We
I
are
want to
not.
say something.
Well,
That
okay,
means
yeah,
anyone-
wait, let him finish. Just let him finish, okay?
So that is what's in the law.
So
You
that's,
must avoid conflict and be 100% avoiding conflict and have no idea what's going on. And for me, if I can't do that, would I? In case I had to? Perhaps, but I'm violating the law, and anything that happens after that, I'm responsible for it, and I prefer not to go to prison for it.
yep.
That is the law. If you'd like to know the law, I'd be
But-
happy to
okay,
teach
but
you.
address
Oh,
me.
sorry.
No, just, and then address me.
Okay, I'll address you.
Yep,
Can I respond?
yeah.
Okay, if what he says is true, and it could well be, I
Yep.
mean, I'm not a lawyer or
Yep.
police officer,
Um.
if that's true, then I think it sounds pretty shaky for someone in the building to, if the police are involved with something, for anybody to be involved with their guns, trying to help the police then, if they're not, you know, a deputy or whatever. So there, again, there's no reason for guns to be here, because they will not be able to assist. They won't be able, what use will they be? Other than we don't know who's the real cop and who, you know, who's the undercover cop and who's the real cop. So,
Okay.
What little response to
But,
that?
no, we're done now. We're gonna close the floor.
We have.
Oh, yep.
Done.
I just want to read, I have heard from some people, in conversation, people have talked to me, so there have been people who have shown, who've come to me to support a ban, and I was emailed one, I just want to read this quick. This is from Joshua Schwabe, 1216 Cherry Street, Green Bay. He supports a policy or resolution banning weapons from municipal buildings. He feels community participation is a paramount, and government buildings are especially unique in that they are the only place where city business can be conducted. Allowing firearms in this space sends a counterproductive, you could have made a bigger print, message that it's not a safe space and in self-defense is a prerequisite to giving testimony. In conclusion, allowing firearms will limit public participation, and I support drafting a policy or resolution banning weapons from municipal buildings.
Josh actually sent that to the whole committee.
Committee, yes.
Yeah, but late this afternoon.
Yep. So, motion to close the floor?
Yes. Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor by Alder Dorf, all in favor? I mean, Alder Zima? Aye, okay, that passes.
The motion was to
Receive and place on file. I just want to say quickly that I very much kind of agree. I don't like making a policy we can't enforce, but there is a lot of people who feel we should have this ban, and other municipalities do it without the metal detector. So I'm going to vote in the negative just to be a voice for them, but I really don't like, I really wish we could do the compromise, but we can't, so just explaining my vote. There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. That passes 3-1.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Alder Zima.
Second.
Second by Alder Dorf. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.